Hi, my name is Christine Malecki, and Dr. Menon asked me to share a little bit about the parent perspective of having a child with autism. I have a 13-year-old son who has autism. I also have a 16-year-old daughter and an almost 10-year-old son who do not have any identified disabilities. My son Jonah is in 8th grade. He is fully an 8th grader, an adolescent right now who likes girls and is interested in video games, uh, and anything that's online, social media, and a lot of the things that other 13-year-olds are interested in. Jonah was diagnosed with autism when he was 2.5, and we've been on a journey ever since. A few things that I guess I would point out about the parent perspective. I'm also an educator. I'm a school psychologist by training, worked in the schools, and am now at the university training future school psychologists. So I'm able to kind of look on both sides of the table, so to speak. One thing to keep in mind is that really early on, when you're working with parents who have young children with autism, the diagnosis, the dealing with the differences of your child is still fresh. It's still new, and there still may be a period of mourning going on. The very first IEP meeting that we had, it was actually the IFSP meeting. I, who am a not all that emotional type person, someone who doesn't cry easily, I sat and cried through the meeting. I couldn't even speak. I had no voice because I just was choked up. Luckily, my husband was there and was able to talk, and as well as the great professionals that we'd been working with that knew where I was coming from, knew what I was worried about. There was nothing negative at the meeting. It just literally was overwhelming to me that I was sitting on the other side of the table, so to speak, and that I was still mourning that I was even having to be at a meeting about my own child's special needs. It was really overwhelming. In subsequent meetings, I think every other IEP meeting since then, every year, I bring treats. It's a celebration. We talk about the challenges and the great things. I've never gotten choked up. Well, I won't say that. I'm sure I've gotten choked up, but more in celebration since then. So, I guess keeping in mind where a parent is in terms of the diagnosis, how far along they are, might really affect kind of their mood, their attitude. Also, keeping in mind that there were times where we hadn't slept in 6 days because Jonah had been up tantruming through the night. And there were times that I think my husband snapped at educational professionals. He's not the kind of man who would snap at someone, but he was sleep deprived, frustrated, sad, scared, and all of those things. So keep that in mind, that you don't know how stressful perhaps the night before was for a family with a child with autism, or what other things might be going on in their life. I guess that's true for any parent. Also, the grief and the mourning can sneak up on you. So although my son is 13 and we just embrace him, we love him, we kind of celebrate autism in our family, there are times where it still sneaks up on me. And that sometimes can catch his teachers off guard because they know I have a great sense of humor about his differences and his quirks. We use the word autism freely at our house. Jonah really embraces who he is and that he has autism. But once in a while, there will be a situation like Jonah asking me about my 16-year-old who just got her license and saying, "Mom, in 3 more years, I'll have my license." And having this panic of, okay, we're going to have to start having that conversation. Or watching other children have milestones that my son still isn't at. So his same age peers doing things that he isn't able to do, or maybe isn't invited to parties, those kinds of things can really sneak up on you, and you still have that raw emotion that you had at the very beginning. So I guess keeping that in mind with those parents that are very easygoing and joking and laughing and embracing, just watching for those emotions and still being sensitive to the fact that their child has special needs, even when that parent is otherwise very kind of casual and okay about it. Finally, the other thing that I like to talk to educators about is the different styles of parents who have children with disabilities. There's the advocate that, is out fundraising and having teams and, just out there promoting and raising money and all of that. There's cure seekers, people that maybe aren't as comfortable embracing autism, but saying we're going to beat this. My goal is that no one will know my child ever was labeled with autism. That can be an approach. There's the embracer of autism. That's kind of where our family is. My son has a T-shirt that says "Autism is my superpower." He talks about it. Also, autism is just a part of our life. We have 2 other children. My husband and I both have full-time jobs. We have a dog. I have a father-in-law with dementia that we're caring for. Jonah and his autism is one part of him. It's not all of him, and it's not all of our family. We have lots of other interests. We have lots of other things going on, and it's just a part of it. That's our style, and it works for us. For other families, having someone with autism in their family is a huge part of their identity, and that's going to be a big part of how they communicate and what they're about. There's information seekers, just always looking for another treatment, another intervention. There are families that are very sensitive about using the word, very sensitive about making sure their children's needs are met. All of these things, each family has to figure out what works for them and how their approach is going to be. And temperament has to do with that. Culture has to do with that. Extended family, community, all of those things are going to affect how a particular family approaches having a child with autism. So I guess in sum, be sensitive to those different styles, and that some families won't be embracing of autism. Some families are going to have different approaches, and you just have to kind of watch for what that style is for families and work with them kind of accordingly, finding a match. And again, you would do that with any family, kind of finding that match of how to work with a family. I, of course, could speak on and on and on, but this is just a brief aspect of what I think of when I think of what are some of the things most important to know when working with families with autism. I hope it's helpful, and I wish you good luck, and thank you very much for all you do for children with special needs and all of our students in schools. Take care.